Most people don't blink an eye when they see a cat or a dog or even a horse or bird. After all, they're regular everyday animals that we see everywhere. But what about the critters that are that strange you can't even believe they exist? From a fish wearing lipstick to a bird-like insect, here are 15 of the strangest creatures you never knew existed. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos every day. That being said, let's begin. Number 15. Sea Lamprey. If you were on a mission to discover one of the strangest and most disturbing creatures, then the sea lamprey would be near the top of the list. Not only are their looks unique, but how they go about their daily business is too. Sea lamprey is a type of fish that looks like an eel. They are most commonly found around Europe and North America and are native to the Atlantic Ocean. Are you looking for something to invade your nightmares? Watch some footage of sea lamprey eating. The sight isn't pretty.
And that's a strange feeling. That's a very strange feeling. There's suction, but there's something sharp going on as well.
They use their giant circular mouths with rows of teeth to suck bodily fluids and blood from fish. They do this by attaching to the side of the fish like a vacuum cleaner to a plastic bag and damaging the skin of the fish to induce blood flow. A large fish might survive the attack, but a smaller one usually doesn't. This disturbing creature grows up to around 20 inches and weighs about 13 pounds. They are black or brown, slimy, and are easily noticed by their terrifying mouth and slithery body. You might not want them to exist, but they do. Number 14. Goblin Shark. Coming face to face with any shark is a terrifying thought, but the goblin shark can be even more so. From its flattened snout to its protruding jaw and awful set of nail-like teeth, it is the creature of nightmares. The goblin shark is from the Mitsucarinidae family, which dates back to around 125 million years ago. It's a rare species, but also not one that you'd be likely to see often anyway because it lives in the dark depths of the ocean. We're sure most people will be happy to know that. They can grow up to around 20 feet long and weigh as much as 460 pounds. If you were trying to escape being eaten by one, you'd have to swim pretty fast, for these speedy goblins can swim as fast as 15 miles per hour. As far as typical sharks go, the goblin shark is far from conventional. It has a flabby dad bod, small fins, and it's a bottom feeder. That means it's more likely to go after cephalopods and crustaceans than lost humans who find themselves where they shouldn't be. That should make you breathe a sigh of relief. Number 13. The red-lipped batfish. The red-lipped batfish. Sounds like some kind of new age rock band name, but it's actually the name of a unique fish species that lives near Peru and the island of Galapagos. Most people will be lucky to spot these fish in their lifetime, for they live up to 249 feet below the ocean's surface, but anyone who does see them won't be able to help but laugh. They look like someone's taken to them with a lipstick and a makeup brush. They are light brown and gray, have a white belly, and a brown snout. But it's not their camouflaging skills that make them one of the strangest creatures, it's their ruby red lips. Underneath their huge, protruding nose is a pouty face that any supermodel would be envious of. In the fish world, you'd surely find them on the cover of most magazines. Red-lipped batfish are definitely more about their looks than their athleticism too, for they're not the best swimmers. They tend to walk along the ocean floor with their pectoral fins, and they use their dorsal fins to attract prey, along with their head growth known as an elysium. Number 12. Umbonia spinosa. No, Umbonia spinosa is not a Harry Potter spell for levitation or opening doors. Instead, it's a type of bug that is thought to be a relation of the cicada. But you'd be forgiven for not thinking it's real, for there isn't all that much research into them. What we do know is that they go by the name of thornbug and treehopper, and they are one of the weirdest critters you will ever come across, if you ever get that privilege? They're in the shape of a thorn, hence their nickname of thornbug, and they have what almost looks like a helmet on their heads. If any insect is gonna be ready for battle, it's this one. It also has a sharp mouth to pierce plants and an excellent camouflage to stop it from becoming another insect's dinner. Fortunately for the thornbug, most insects are more interested in what it produces rather than what the bug itself tastes like. After eating plants and aphids, the thornbug excretes a sugary fluid called honeydew. It's not uncommon for the thornbug to have a huge fan base of ants in its wake who are lining up to get a taste. Number 11. Lowland Streaked Tenrec. Animals that look like other animals are some of our favorites. They're unique, unusual, and hard to believe they even exist. The Lowland Streaked Tenrec is one such animal. It looks like a shrew and then it looks like a hedgehog, but it's neither of those things. It has a long, pointed snout, a coat with spikes on it, and black coloring with yellow stripes like a bumblebee with an identity crisis. What's also interesting about the Lowland Streaked Tenrec is that its spikes are yellow. The coloring makes it look like a bleach-tipped boy band member. The Lowland Streaked Tenrec lives in the eastern parts of Madagascar, where it prefers rainforests and scrubland. It lives no longer than 3 years and grows up to around 6.5 inches with a weight of about 7 ounces. This spiny critter isn't seen out and about all too much due to its hibernation habits, but anyone who does come across one will be surprised and probably a bit confused by what they see. Is it a hedgehog? Is it a shrew? Is it a bumblebee on steroids? Number 10. Hummingbird Hawk Moth. The hummingbird hawk moth is the epitome of an identity crisis. Is it an insect? Is it a bird? Is it a monster? You be the judge. Well, actually, scientists have already said it's an insect, so you don't have to be the judge. The hummingbird hawk moth is a feathery little critter that grows up to 2.5 inches with a wingspan of 6 inches. It hovers, buzzes, and flies from flower to flower in search of nectar. It also makes a lot of noise courtesy of its lightning fast wing movement. The hummingbird has a beak, but the hummingbird hawk moth has a kind of a tongue-like thing that reaches into flowers for that sweet, sweet nectar. The tongue is also twice the length of its body, which is a little bit terrifying if you think of what a human would be like with such a feature. They're covered in gray hair that looks like feathers, and they can also be mottled with brown and white. If you're gonna stumble across this complex character, then you'll likely find it in Asia, Africa, North America, and Europe. The hummingbird hawk moth sure does get around. Number 9. Glaucus atlanticus. It's not uncommon in a war setting to take weapons from your enemies and use them to protect yourself, but in the animal world, that's just plain weird. That's why the Glaucus atlanticus is a strange creature that you can't help but be dubious about its existence. It's blue on the top to camouflage it from the ocean's surface, but silver on the bottom to protect it from predators below. It seems like it has all its bases covered, even as it goes about its nomadic lifestyle in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans. But this tiny sea creature, which grows to around an inch long and 3.5 ounces, has many strange things going for it to keep it safe. It will collect venom from its enemies, including venomous coils from jellyfish, and store them in sacs on its body to protect itself. When it feels attacked, it will unleash it on its unsuspecting victims. Alongside those sacs full of stolen weaponry, the Glaucus atlanticus will also use hard discs inside its own skin to stop the venom affecting itself. This is definitely not a critter you want to get on the wrong side of. Number 8. Venezuelan Poodle Moth. You might look at a picture of a Venezuelan poodle moth and say, hey, that can't be a real animal, I saw it in an internet meme. You're right, it does appear in internet memes, but you might be surprised to learn that it's also actually real. The Venezuelan poodle moth was first discovered in 2009, and it's a wonder it took so long. It's small, white, and fluffy looking, and not exactly hard to spot once you see it against a green backdrop. The poodle moth belongs to the Lasiocampidae family and exists in the northernmost parts of North America and through to Argentina. Not all that much is known about this fluffy poodle-like critter yet, except that it definitely looks like more mammal than insect. It has tufts of fur, cartoon-like wings, and antennae that look like they've been hurriedly constructed in an arts and crafts store. No wonder no one thinks this poor guy's real. He looks like a 5-year-old school project. If you've decided that you need to see one for yourself, then you might be out of luck. After Dr. Arthur Anker from Venezuela found and photographed the moth, it has been challenging to find it again. In fact, it hasn't been seen since. Number 7. Giant Isopod. What you're looking at may seem like a distant relative of the terrifying monsters from the film Alien. If you were to wake up with one of these staring at you in the face, you'd be wet in the bed or running for cover, or both. Yes, the giant isopod is disturbing, but it's not something that was dreamed up in a film studio. It is, unfortunately, a real thing. The giant isopod is from the Bathynomus genus, with it being the largest in that group. While they look like bugs, they are actually crustaceans and share more in common with shrimp and crab than they do other creepy crawlies you find on land. They're also more of a cold water species than others and live as deep down in the water as over 7,000 feet, which is pretty far down. If you're going to stumble across one for the sake of research, you'll be more likely to find them in clay and mud floor in the Pacific Ocean near Japan and the South China Sea. They grow up to around 14 inches, but there have been sightings of some as large as 2.5 feet. They also vary in color of pale lilac through to brown, and feast on dead animals that fall from above them. Number 6. Saiga Antelope. At one time, you would find the Saiga antelope roaming the Eurasian steppe zone from the Carpathian Mountains all the way to Mongolia. Today, however, they're only found in Russia and Kazakhstan, which may lead many people to think they don't exist at all. Sure, they're unique and a bit weird, but they are certainly still out there. The Saiga antelope won't be winning any beauty pageant awards anytime soon. They are the size of a goat, but have a strange, droopy, and hanging nose that makes them look more like camels. They are also the same coloring as a camel, but the similarities end there. They weigh up to around 150 pounds and can run as fast as 48 miles per hour. They feed on shrubs, herbs, and plants, and if given a chance to reach full maturity, can live for around a decade to 12 years. However, the Saiga antelope is critically endangered and often finds itself at the mercy of wolves, birds, foxes, and feral dogs. Humans are to blame too, for they are often hunted for their horns. Number 5. The Bush Viper. The bush viper, or spiny bush viper, is a snake that you may have already knew existed but wished it didn't. It's venomous, lives in Kenya, the Congo, and Uganda, and it's most often located in rainforests and away from human settlements, thankfully. Most spiny bush vipers grow up to around 23 inches, and the female is larger than the male.
Monitor lizard. Oh, look at that!
They have slit-like nostrils, an ivory white tail, and large eyes set into a broad head. It's not uncommon to find them in a variety of colors like brown, blue, green, and olive green. This carnivorous critter's not one you'll want to stumble across by accident, for you'll come off second best. Before it goes into attack mode, it curls itself into the shape of an S before lunging for the kill. The venom is so potent that it causes internal bleeding. The bite of a bush viper can also be fatal, as there is no anti-venom. Fortunately, its home in Central Africa is quite remote, which means the chances of stumbling across one and getting bitten are rare. Still, many people will surely wish they didn't exist at all. Number 4. The blue parrotfish. When an animal has parrot and fish in its name, you just know it's going to be something completely insane, and the blue parrotfish is. As the name suggests, it's blue, but it's not all that parrot-like when you compare it to the bird. Sure, it has fused teeth that look like a beak, but it's very much part of the fish family. You can find them in the Caribbean Sea and the coral reefs of the western Atlantic Ocean. They grow up to around 30 inches long, about 20 pounds, and they live on a diet of algae and coral. The blue parrotfish is quite interesting to look at, and it's hard not to think it's been photoshopped. It's a vibrant blue color with a yellow spot on its head that disappears once it matures. It also has teeth in its throat that allows it to crush rocks as it swallows them. Why it wants to eat rocks is beyond us. Just like most of us, the blue parrotfish spends around 80% of its life looking for food. When it's not dining off coral reefs, it's protecting itself from predators. Here's a fun fact for you. If the male in the group dies, a female steps up, has a sex change, and becomes the new leader. Hard to believe such a critter exists, right? Number 3. Indian purple frog. The Indian purple frog, which people also call the pig-nosed frog, was first discovered in 2003. You may be wondering how on earth it took so long to find this ugly and unusual looking amphibian, but it's a little more complicated than you might think. Aside from a few weeks of the year, the pig-nosed frog lives under the ground. Only when monsoon season hits in the Western Ghats in India does it come out to mate and carry on its line. It doesn't appear to be doing its job though, for there are thought to be only around 135 in existence and about 3 females. The Indian purple frog has a chubby, bloated body, short and stumpy limbs, and a dark purple and gray body. Its head blends into its body without too much definition, and it can't leap around like other frogs because of its short legs. Basically, this frog doesn't have a lot going for it. It burrows into well-aerated soil by ditches and streams and relies on its sense of smell to dine on termites. It's hard enough believing that this frog exists, but even harder to believe that it only shows itself for a few weeks every year. Number 2. Shoebill. The shoebill is a bird with an identity crisis. It can't make up its mind about what it wants to be, so it's easier for us humans to assume it doesn't exist at all. Sorting your life out, shoebill, we've had enough of your nonsense. This crazy bird is one that takes features from all different and unrelated birds, kind of like a Mr. Potato Head of the bird world. It has elements of a stork, a heron, a pelican, and a hammerkop, but scientists just call it a shoebill or a shoe-billed stork to cover all bases. It lives in marshes, swamps, and wetlands in eastern Africa and is listed as a vulnerable species. There are only around 8,000 left in the wild. They are also quite a large bird, growing to approximately 5 feet tall and about 1.5 pounds in weight. They are blue-gray in color, have long legs, and their beak is in the shape of a shoe. Scientists were clearly not feeling creative when they named it a shoebill. This crazy bird also eats at night and will dine on lizards, snakes, rats, and fish. They can even live for over 3 decades. Big Bird, is that you? Number 1. Okapi. To look at the okapi, the giraffe's only living relative, it's hard not to be confused. Has someone gone crazy with Photoshop? Has someone cut 2 animals in half and stuck them together? The okapi is just that weird. It has an elongated neck, a long, dark tongue, and a striped bottom, which is more reminiscent of a zebra than a giraffe. They also have a few crazy party tricks up their sleeves too, such as being able to produce infrasonic calls to alert their calves and licking their own ears. Even more impressive, but a bit gross, is that their feet reek. They have scent glands that excrete a tar-like substance so they can let other okapi know where they've been. It's hard not to be amazed by the okapi, but they may not be around forever. Deforestation, mining, and poaching have halved their population since their discovery around 15 years ago. They also only exist in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which leaves little room for their population to thrive. Dear strange okapi, we're rooting for you to make it. So, are you ready to get a pet goblin shark or a parrotfish as something a little tamer? It's incredible to think just how many weird and wonderful animals are out there. Have you seen any of these in person? Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time.